You're listening to The Caveman Show.
Good morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Caveman Show. I say good morning because I am actually recording today on Tuesday morning. I usually record Monday nights, edit over the course of Monday night, and slam this up about Tuesday afternoon. But last night, I just wasn't feeling to talk, really. I don't know what it was. I think I just needed a little bit of personal space, so I stayed in. I sat home. Which is what I do when I do the podcast anyway. I watched the Quincy Jones documentary on Netflix. If you've not seen it, you should go and watch it. I'm not sure if I got like brain communicated to by the internet, whether they laid some they didn't lay no stiff into me, crikey, whether they laid some stuff into me. Because I was saying the other day that it was about 2 weeks ago, I was saying that I wanted to see a Quincy Jones documentary and that someone should make one. And then I Googled it and there was one dropping like 2 days later. So I don't know, maybe it's just coinkydink. But I watched the Quincy Jones documentary. Yo, that guy has lived an absolute mazza. He has just been out here. I think his career started in about like the 40s. He grew up in the 30s, Chicago. And he's just had a wild life. It's unbelievable the amount of people that he's been tied to. I mean, it is literally it's enormous. I don't know where to begin. Like everybody from Frank Sinatra to Carlos Santana to Will Smith to Dr. Dre, just countless. It goes on and on and on. It's huge numbers of just some of the biggest artists in the entire world, in the history of popular music. And now Quincy Jones seems to chip about and do a lot of public speaking and hosting. John Legend too, who's actually releasing a Christmas album now, which is kind of like the most John Legend-y thing you could do. That was another sip of the delicious Yorkshire tea, which I'm always drinking on air. But yeah, Quincy Jones, hell of a career. Also follows his some of his health problems in the later part of his life. He quits drinking over the course of the documentary, which is great to see, and he takes back up exercise after getting a blood clot. And it's just really cool to see a man of such extended years so vibrant and still so active in music and his career. Just a really cool documentary. It also kind of changed my perspective on the course of like recent history. Quincy Jones at the time of the filming was about 82 years old, which is roughly the same age as my nana. And his nana had been a slave. I think I've heard the statistic before that like slavery is like two grandmas back to back, but actually putting it in the context of like when the people who were like what I consider like old people in my life were young, the people who are old people in their lives, slavery had been a lived experience. That's wild. And I think the idea that that's like ancient history or something that's a huge amount of time ago is definitely not correct. And it was, I don't know really where I'm going with that point. It's just, it really, sometimes you need a certain key to make a piece of information lock into your head. Like, I'm also afraid of flying, but I was watching the Spice Girls documentary the other week, and I found out that the Spice Girls at one point were flying 70 flights in a month. 70 flights in a month. There's only 31 days in the busiest of months. So every day, pardon me, I keep on burping down the line. That's disgusting. I'm sorry, everyone. But yeah, I was like, I'm afraid of flying. I was like, yo, if the Spice Girls can fly 70 times in a month, I can do a few in a year. That is doable. I can work with that. So yeah, it's a good documentary. If you are out there on the big Netflix streets, I'd recommend getting your logos around it. It's an enjoyable watch. So I've been out of town a little bit the last week. I was in Snowdon, Wales. I went up Snowdon, which is the tallest mountain in Wales and England. I went up Scafell Pike, which is the highest mountain in. It's not necessarily the hardest. I'm not saying that. It's the highest mountain in England, and that was much more brutal. I think it was much more drudging than it was going up Snowdon. But yeah, Snowdon was beautiful. We went up Cribgoch, which is a particular ridge that when you walk along, it's only about 200 metres along, but there's very sharp drops on both sides, which means there's incredible views. It also means that it's quite trouser browning as you go along. It's an experience, but I really enjoyed it. I think it took us about 3.5 hours to get up the side of that mountain, and then a bit longer coming down I go very slow when I'm coming down actually. I get these kind of weird panics of the weight of my backpack like making me trip and then smashing my face into the side of a mountain, which probably will happen at some point, but I'm still scared of it for now. It's actually, Snowdon used to be a mine, and there's a train that runs up the side of it, which is a sort of tourist trap now. I don't know about trap, but tourist attraction now. But that used to be used for transporting maybe coal, maybe stone down the side of the mountain, which is pretty wild. It's not a very enjoyable job in my eyes. Wales was cool. We had a bus driver who said he'd never heard of where we were going, even though it was on his route. We had the same dude like 3 days in a row, and he just seemed so peaceful. I rated him. He's the best bus driver I've ever had. He was just like, people get on his bus, he'd be like, nope, not going there, mate. Then I have to get off the bus. We had to get out the map and show him the route to where we were going, even though it was already on his route. He was a wild guy, but I liked him. I respected his style. He drove that bus for himself, not for anyone else. And although that might not be what you want out of a bus driver, I can respect that in a man.
You're listening to The Caveman Show.
Also this week was over at Sea Prophecy's video shoot for Repentance. That was a lot of fun. I want to say shout out to Sea Prophecy getting in touch to let me know about the MGK and Eminem beef. A good 2.5 weeks late. He sent me all the videos like, yo, there's a lyrical warfare going on. I know. And I know, Chi. I do know about this one. I rated him, man. It'll be gutted when he hears about Park dying. But yeah, Prof's music video shoot, which was a lot of fun. Shooting in a few different places. I'm not going to tell you about it to you in detail because it's not my video, but there was an impromptu point where we were recording in a certain part and we were just waiting for a minute before we started filming. There was a group of us stood together and Manchester's finest pulls up. The GMPT, no, they're the bus guys. The pigs, the oinkers, the feds, the boys in blue, the dibble, the bacon, the heat. Babylon pulled up in full force. And they certainly did Babylon. They were going on with themselves. They was like, what did they say? It was like, so did you buy that camera, yeah? Did you buy that camera with your own money? Wow. That's incredible. So I'd love to see this. young people making music, because other people, they look at you and they jump to conclusions, but I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. Keep on going. Keep on going. Let me see that footage. Let me have a look. You did this. This is brilliant work. This is really brilliant work. What are your names, lads? What are your names, lads? Simmer down now, mate. We asked them what their names were. Jim, mate. Jim. Bob and Dave. That's us. Bob and Dave. No, it isn't. On your bike. On your whip. Sod off. You chose to be a police officer. Ain't my problem. Don't talk to me like I'm your friend just because you've got some job, which means that you don't really actually have friends. On your bike, lad. Sod off. But that music video, I don't know when it's dropping, but it's going to be good. I gotta say, I need somebody on hand in this podcast to make me brews. I need a brew smith for the podcast because the kettle's downstairs, I record upstairs. It's a long way. Oh, I forgot to put that into my Snowden breakdown. So me and my friend Jack we were doing this little walk, and I was starting to lag a bit. I was like, we've been walking for hours. I'm smashing it, but I'm getting a bit smashed by it as well. All of a sudden, this sprightly old mountain rabbit pops up. Yeah, I don't know how old she is, but she was a grey-haired woman. She was probably in her 50s upwards, and she was just, probably more like the 60s upwards, but she was just getting the mountain done. She weren't going that fast, but this steady pace was just guiding her along the hill at a great rapidity. I must say, she was just getting on with it. I was so impressed. I was genuinely amazed. Like, I had this sort of moment of clarity where it was like I was almost dying. I was like trudging along, and then I looked up and she was just plodding on nicely at a good pace. And I was like, yo, you just need to find the pace. If you can find the pace, maintain the pace, then you're going to get there, and you're going to make it look easy because it's going to feel easy. And even when it's hard, it's going to be easy because it's going to be natural. I was so impressed with that lady. So wherever you are out there, yeah, salute to you. You're my inspiration for the week. You taught me. Just keep on keeping on. Ease on down the road. Amazing stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Right, I have a question. Not to ask, but it's been answered. Was being asked of me. Let me pull. So the question from Declan Kane. Big up to Declan Kane. Got a little collab coming. He don't know the hook that I've got for his tune yet, but it's a goodie. Declan Kane says, yo, what's your thoughts on Lunacy, both in the battle rap format and as an artist? I think he's one that is rated fairly, and he's A. He ain't got an A, but he's got a B. He says he thinks that he's rated fairly, and that he also has some class battles. He was watching the Uno Lavos battle before he listened to my show. Shout out to listening. Shout out to getting back to me as a response to the question about how well about artists who we think are correctly rated. I think Lunacy, I think that is quite a good example of someone who's received a lot of the kind of appeal that is maybe deserved for skill level, for his sort of level of promotion, and he's got a strong fan base. I think he's great. He's absolutely sick punchliner. I think watching back in the Don't Flop era of about 10 years ago now, well, a bit less than 10 years ago, but still. He really burst out of the battle rap scene. I think everyone... It was one of those times where I think everyone paid attention to him because he had such clarity, such layered but catchable bars, very funny, very visual, highly talented at putting together raps. Very, very, very good rapper. His music's cool as well. I know he dropped his album Dirt Brain earlier this year, which is a very good project. That's also on Spotify and everything like that. If you want to go check it out, I would recommend it. Yeah, he's a sick artist. It's cool to check out his comeback battle versus O'Shea as well, which shows like his developed style, but still quite rooted in the same kind of senses of humour. Yeah, I rate Lunacy very highly. He was actually at Ban on the Wall the other week, which I didn't clock until... I kind of knew that he was doing the show because he's on tour with someone, I can't remember who he is. Is it Mark Haddon? Is Mark Haddon like a children's book author? I feel like he isn't on tour with Mark Haddon. Let's have a look who Mark Haddon is. Pull that up, one sec. Mark Haddon. Mark Haddon wrote The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. I'm pretty sure that's not who Lunacy is on tour with at the moment. But yeah, he was over on tour at Ban on the Wall the other week, and I didn't clock until I saw it on Twitter, and I could have rolled out and seen that show. I wish I would have done. There's a guy called Nick Brewer on the tour. That's probably what I'm thinking of. That talk about Lunacy does kind of vaguely lead me into the next little section I wanted to talk about, which is the URL card, which has been the beginnings of which have been announced for London. It's headlined by Hollow the Don versus John the Don. Hollow to me is top 3 in the world. John isn't. I know that John beat up Hollow the Don a bit, which is kind of an obvious good angle to go with, but I don't know. I don't see John smoking Hollow. John maybe get around, but Hollow gonna smoke him. To be honest, I think maybe I'm biased there. I don't care if I'm biased. It's my show. I'll go and smoke him. But what's mad about the URL card is tickets are £80. £80. It's just a lot of money for a battle rap card. I mean, it's maybe not for other things. Maybe I'm thinking about like a high caliber boxing event, but to go see a battle rap event, that's a lot of money. It's more than the Dave Chappelle stand-up tickets were, and it's also a lot more than UK battle events tend to charge. I think it's rare these days to see anything more than a tenner. Even back in their prime, I don't think Don't Flop ever charged more than about £25-30 for a big event. That'd usually be like a 2-day event full of all your favourite stars and stuff, at least from the UK scene and the internationals. The last time we saw Hollow in the UK, I don't think John's ever performed in the UK, but the last time we saw Hollow in the UK was at the Battle of the Brave event, which they only managed to do one event of, but apparently was absolutely insane in terms of the actual vibe for the events, even though there was some teething problems with timings and stuff and some financial aspects of it. But they, incidentally, I think they were selling tickets for the best part of £100. And it sold out. Or if not sold out, it sold a lot of tickets. So maybe it's going to be a case of this will bring out a different audience. Sometimes people are more enticed by higher ticket prices. I guess it's kind of a thing of this can't really be counted as a battle rap event in the same sense that the UK is used to. To an extent, it's like It's like a big name tour. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not going. I'm not going London to buy an £80 ticket. London is too expensive for me. And £80 to go see that battle is too expensive for me. Especially considering John John's going to be spitting robbed bars for 2/3 of his rounds. But good luck to the event. Should be cool. Hopefully there's some UK involvement on like the undercard and stuff like that. But time will tell. On the flip side, we do have a King of the Ronalds event, which has been announced for Manchester. That's on the 20th of October. I did speak about this, I believe, on my last podcast, but we now have got the full, lineup. So I'm going to go through and make a few predictions. King of the Ronalds. This event is going to be at Tribeca, Sackville Street. I've been to the venue before. It's I wouldn't go out there for a drink, but it works really well for battle rap. So fair play to them. This is Bowski, I think, put together this event. Big Bowski, Bows Dog, baby. Shout out to the big Bows Dog. Tickets are going to be £6 in advance and £8 on the door, and it's going to be on Saturday, October the 20th in Manchester. There's also a really sick show coming up that evening that I'd recommend people are out. Like, if you're about that day, get down to Soup Kitchen to see Agbeko with Berry Black and his live band doing support. That's going to be a sick show. Tickets for that are on sale now, I believe. Shout out to Band on the Wall who put that event together. But so let's work up the card. So we start off with a tryout. At least one tryout, which is Bluefoot versus Yaneth. These guys, I think, have been sending for each other for a bit. Obviously, they're both tryouts, so I can only say so much as to who I think is going to win. I have met Bluefoot back at an event we used to run in Hume for a couple of summers, put on a barbecue there. I think he seems like a better rapper. Yaneth seems like he's, I don't know, good at communicating to an audience. Really have to see how this one plays out. I think it comes down to, I think this is Bluefoot's battle to win, really. I don't think Yaneth seems like he's that great of a rapper, but he's good at projection as an MC. So if Bluefoot can match that and bring better lyrics, then he'll win. Who knows? So try out. Then we have Zayn Azrai versus Magic Mike. This is a wild battle. Zayn Azrai is like a crazy Aspergic Malaysian director. Magic Mike is a wild man from Chesterfield who like kind of raps so badly that it kind of works. This is a bizarre matchup. I think Zayn will probably get it. Blunt Ted versus Bombshell. These are two King of the Ronalds regulars. I'd say probably Bombshell will get that one. Frost versus Deviant. This is a good battle. These are two guys. Frost has been both guys who I think have now been knocked out of the Premier Battles Academy League, but both put in some good performances. I like Deviant. I think he's good. I think he's like he's got some good foundations. I think he always feels a little bit shaky though. Frost is quite swaggy. I don't think he really raps too tough. He just busts joke and rhymes and clowns on his opponent a lot. I think that his style might help him beat Deviant. I think Frost will probably take that one, but I like Deviant. Then we have the return of the big boy, Els versus Kinnell. Els is a guy who we've not seen do a battle in a long time, but is now coming back. He's got a bunch of stuff locked in. I think he's also doing a Premier Battles event versus Peace Soldier, which is this weekend actually. I should have run through that. I actually should have ran through that now, come to think of it. Raptor versus Koj, Raptor's last event. P Soldier versus Els. You got Pedro versus Zen. Bobby Rex versus Soul contributed to that one. And then you've also got Chris Leith versus Juan. I think I'm actually predicting Pride to win the league, which is not what I thought at all at the start, but I think Pride are going to get it. I think they're going to 2-1 it. I think Bobby Rex probably lost to Soul, but the other two will probably go to Pride. Yeah, so Els will, by this point, have had one battle anyway. So we can expect him to be pretty much free of ring rust if there is going to be any. Canal, very regular battler. He's a guy who's carved his name into battling just by doing so much of it and behaving just like himself. I think Els might take this one. I feel like Els is coming through back to just smash stuff up again. Though Canal's really good, I think Els is just perfect for a King of the Ronalds event. I think if Els would have been around, King of the Ronalds might have been not. I don't think it would have changed the landscape dramatically, but I think if Els would have been a regular King of the Ronalds battler, they'd be like maybe like another 5% bigger or something. I think he's perfect for it, so I think he'll probably take that one. Matter versus Mackenzie. I think Matter will be hilarious. I think Mackenzie will probably come for the throat a little bit more. I think Matter seems to be slightly on cruising mode these days with his battles. They're always good punchlines, always great watch, but it's kind of a bit more like he's just battling to the crowd rather than battling to besmirch his opponent. Whereas I think Mackenzie's probably a little bit more cutthroat, and I think he'll come down to really try and win. Matter's quite a big name for him. And then that takes us up to the headline event, the return of Zayn Azrai. Yeah, again, that guy who was battling Magic Mike at the bottom. He's doing 2 battles. You don't come from Malaysia to do 1 battle at the bottom of the card, I guess. And he's battling a guy named Fighter, who is a Mani guy who has dropped a few videos on forums and stuff. He only really has 1 battle or so. No, he's had 2. He battled against Deviant at the last event that they did in Tribeca, actually, but they lost all the footage for that event. So I have seen him battle live. He is good. He is good, actually. He looks like he takes it a bit serious, though. Like, he looked like at any point like he was ready to start fighting Deviant. I guess that's why they call him Fighter. But it was a bit like, it's just a battle, mate. Chill out. And I think Zayn Azrai might kind of elude Fighter to an extent because he'll just be so much more humorous. Although I do think Fighter is funny as well. I think this one could go either way. I think Fighter's still very much quite an unknown quality. And Zayn Azrai is pretty unpredictable just in the way that he behaves and thinks. I think that'll be a very King of the Ronalds kind of battle. I'm going to refrain from picking a winner for that one because honestly there's just so many ways it could go. So yeah, but that battle is going to be fun. That whole event's going to be really good, I think. So big up to Big Bowski and all the King of the Ronalds guys for putting that together. Like I say, that's on the 20th of October, which is also our Biggin's birthday. Make sure if you see Niall out at any point, Big Biggin, buy him a drink or 15. LOL. In the world of work, tomorrow is my last day in my current one of creative writing workshops at Style Mill. It's a women's prison. Just I think it's just at the start of Cheshire actually, but it's just outside Wythenshawe. It's been really, really enjoyable working with the women who are in that institution there. We've also got tonight is the next edition of AMP, the accessible music project that I run, which for any listeners who might have someone who benefits from this or might be someone who benefit from this, every first Tuesday of the month we run from 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. a free drop-in music workshop for adults with additional needs. So okay, to anyone with any physical additional needs or learning difficulties, please get in touch. The workshops are free. We also run a quarterly club night, which is about £5 in. The last one was a massive success, and we're looking forward to doing some more stuff. So this month, and tonight, I should say, that's if you're listening to this the day this comes out, which is today, Tuesday, the 2nd of October. We're going to be working with Chris Ball to make instruments and MIDI instruments out of straight up from the Arduino and so forth. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I've been thinking a lot about this week about forgiveness. So I got inspired from a conversation I had in Style Mill about why do you forgive someone? Do you forgive for yourself or for the other person? To me, I was brought up in a Catholic background, and I definitely got taught that forgiveness was a virtue that was very important, and that sometimes you have to forgive. I know that can be deeply problematic, and I know that sometimes forgiveness can work against the case of recovery for the victim in question. I think self-forgiveness can be very important. I think sometimes until you can forgive yourself for something, you can never move on for it. And I think that's especially in the case of people who have a lot of anxieties and paranoias about the way that they feel. Forgiveness is... We talk a lot about forgive and forget, and there's a big difference there with giving and getting. I feel like getting away from something, when you forget, you get away from it and you act like it didn't happen. When you forgive, you give it away and you take the choice to release that. And just because you've forgiven someone doesn't mean that the effects of what they did wrong are now gone. Sometimes forgiving can be the only power that you have, is to release something and not bear it with you anymore, or at least not bear anger with it, because although you might not be able to change what someone's done, it's kind of taking ownership of the effect that has on you. Ownership isn't easy when it comes to pain, and forgiveness is not easy. Can you forgive something that's unforgivable? No. But can you forgive a person for doing something that's unforgivable? Maybe. Do people have a right to forgiveness? I don't think so. I think if you do something wrong, you do have to do that in the knowledge that you might have to just bear it forever, and you might have to just hold it. Yeah, you did something wrong. You don't get the right to be forgiven. Forgiving can also be very ceremonial sometimes, and very much a case of an exchange of words and not a shift in reality. And in these instances, maybe forgiveness is empty, void. Forgiveness isn't easy, but forgiveness can be a blessing. To be forgiven by another person, it's like it gives you a new lease of life. It humbles you. Forgiveness. I don't have an outcome on it, but those are some thoughts. In college, they showed us this video about a guy whose wife had been killed and forgave the people who did it. But I think when the college starts showing you videos of white people forgiving black people for bad stuff that happened in Africa, I think there's there's a bit too much going on here as a varying RE department. I see your game. Well, it might very well be on Monday afternoon, but I ain't falling for that. But I did hear about a cool thing called the Forgiveness Project, which came from a guy who did an armed robbery on a shop, and the guy who owned the shop ended up giving him a job. And sometimes forgiveness can be used as the tool for change. Sometimes you can nip things in the bud where people's pride and desire for retribution can incapacitate them from forgiveness and keep them trapped in a certain moment, or worse, send them off on a path of destruction and of coolness and of reproducing whatever the abuse was. Sometimes forgiveness can stop the next victim. Sometimes it can't. I think also it's not always the responsibility of a victim to protect other victims or other potential victims. It can feel like it is, but it isn't. Forgiveness. It's a question. Something to think about for your week, at least. If you feel that way. Maybe you don't.
You're listening to The Caveman Show. You're listening to The Caveman Show. You're listening to The Caveman Show. You're listening to The Caveman Show.
So for the back end of the podcast, I got a few recommendations. I'd like to recommend a show coming up. Oh, wow, this is going to be a mega week, for theatre. So the same weekend as the King of the Ronalds show and the Agbeko show, I'd like to recommend you go and see Elmi Ali presenting Water Seeds, Not Stones. That's going to be at the Stun Studio at Z Arts in Hume. That's showing on Saturday the 20th of October, and then Monday and Tuesday the 22nd and 23rd of October also, 7:30 p.m. Tickets are £13 and £7 concessions. Elmi's show is is brilliant. I've seen it once before, and it's a one-man show working with Elmi Ali, who's a spoken word poetry performer. He's an incredible writer. He's a fantastic storyteller and writes with such layers and nuance that are just, they really are incredible. I saw a great show that he did over at home as well last year. Hopefully there's going to be another version of that as well coming up at some point. I don't know. Only he knows that. But yeah, Water Seeds Not Stones combines traditional storytelling and performance art through postmodern character of Mama Wodi. No, I think there's another Mama Wodi. Inspired by the mobile street sellers of Manchester's Market Street, he is a hawker, bookworm, street peddler, a traveller, a storyteller, an activist, and a gardener librarian. Conjuring visions whilst enduring real-world interactions from Her Majesty's Border Agency, our trickster takes us on a journey across continents into the heart of soft power. This is a dope book. I really enjoyed it. Film, play. I enjoyed it. I think you all enjoy it. It's funny. It's thought-provoking. It's incredibly well written. It's insightful. It's brilliantly performed. It's a great piece of theatre, and I can only imagine in the time since he last performed it, it will have matured and increased in its value. So if you have chance to go and see Water Seeds Not Stones, I 100% would recommend you. That's a show that has been developed, commissioned by Contact. TV wise, I don't really watch TV, but I do watch Netflix. And chill with your mama. No. I'm sorry. This is what happens when you talk just to yourself for an hour. You start saying weird things. So I don't watch too much TV, but on Netflix I've been watching Maniac, which has Jonah Hill and Emma Stone in a slightly different role from Superbad, and again looks at living with paranoia, addiction, and looks at trauma through quite a particular lens. I have only got a few episodes into it yet, so I can't tell you too much about it, but it's an interesting watch. I'd recommend it for a watch. I also saw a good bit of stand-up comedy on Netflix, which is a stand-up special from a guy named Daniel Sloss. I think the episode's called Dark. That's also on Netflix. That's really insightful, well-written, off-kilter but enjoyable stand-up piece. Also, finally, I'd like to just lay a few seeds of my own about an event that I'm putting together for November the 24th, Saturday the 24th of November. I can confirm that the venue is going to be the Old Abbey Tap House in Hume. I've been very Hume-centric lately. And it's going to be a community event that's featuring live music, live art, performances, workshops, hopefully some panel discussions and comedy. I am still have open chances for people to come and be involved. So if you are a performer, street performer, run workshops, run music, want to be involved in some manner, please just let me know. Get in touch. The best way to do so is probably commenting below or maybe adding me on Facebook. I don't know. Caveman. Meow. We'll figure it out. But yeah, there's going to be more discussion of that as the show gets closer to the date, but that's going to be happening. I'm really excited about it. I'd also just like to let you know that next week I'm going to be in Amsterdam for quite a few days. So I land on Tuesday. Maybe I'll have time to go get a recording done on Tuesday and have it up on Tuesday. I don't exactly know what's going to happen with next week's show. I might just skip next week's show. It might go up on Wednesday. I am enjoying putting stuff out on Tuesdays though, so it might be better off to just not do one Tuesday. I'll fully have to just feel how I feel when I get back. Maybe I'll come across a studio in Dam that I can rent out for an hour and do an episode whilst I'm there as well. That'd be pretty dope. But yeah, we'll fully just have to see how it works out. But whatever happens, make sure you take care of yourself this week. I'm going to be taking myself with the best care that I can. And just keep on treading. Keep going. This week is just another week. You can do this. This could be the week. This could not be the week. It's just a week. It's just a day. It's just a moment. It's just passing. It's just life. It's just fun. It's an enjoyable time. This is a great ride. So I hope that you make sure to look after yourself and spread a bit of love. If you get the opportunity to do something nice for someone, just do it. Get it done. Push something positive into the world. Get in touch with me if you want to be involved in the upcoming event. I can give you a few more details as time goes on, but it's all still a little bit under wraps as to how it's exactly going to lay itself out. But enough love. Thank you for listening to the Caveman Show once again, and I'll be back either next week or in a couple of weeks to hit you up with more of myself. Peace.